discover the incredible transformation, how a dying father exposed his daughter's hidden betrayal. Jake sat in his backyard, the fading sun casting a warm glow over the modest home he had built with sweat and love. The smell of grilled burgers filled the air, mingling with the distant laughter of kids riding bikes. It was a picturesque Ohio evening, one that felt suffocated under the weight of impending loss. Just weeks ago, Jake had received the crushing news: terminal cancer. Each tick of the clock echoed the ticking of his life, and the shadows of unfinished business loomed ever closer. His mind wandered to Sarah, his estranged daughter. Once, their bond had been tight, woven with family traditions and Sunday barbecues. Now, she felt like a ghost, drifting through his life, barely touching it. At 30, Sarah was a corporate powerhouse, chasing dreams that seemed to eclipse everything, even her father's love. Jake's disappointment gnawed at him like hunger, a constant reminder of how their paths had diverged. His heart craved a reconciliation born of honesty, a chance to impart his hard-earned values before it was too late. Memories flooded back. Her first day of school, the pride in her eyes when she scored a goal at soccer. But as he recalled those sweet moments, he was reminded of the darker truth creeping in. Sarah's ambitions had led her to decisions that jeopardized the family business, a beloved local establishment crumbling under her corporate grind. The neighborhood was fractured, and so were they, torn apart by silent resentments and missed opportunities. Life in the suburb had changed. Once vibrant, the community felt cold, the familiar laughter replaced by whispers of discontent. Jake longed to mend what had been broken, to show Sarah the importance of integrity and family. But how to do that when both their hearts were swollen with unspoken grief? Tonight, he had gathered the family. It felt like a last grasp at unity, a desperate attempt to pull his daughter back from the brink of ambition. As the night deepened and shadows grew long, tensions flared. Old wounds were opened like festering sores. Jake confronted her, his voice thick with emotion. "Sarah, you need to understand what you've done, how it's hurt us, how it's hurt you." But her defiance cut him like a dagger. "I'm doing this for us, Dad. I'm trying to save what we have left." Before them, the air electrified, thick with pain and regret. An argument erupted, voices clashing like thunder. In that storm of accusations and heartbreak, something shifted. Jake could see the tears in Sarah's eyes, a crack in her defenses. In that moment, he held on to the hope that there might still be time. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The intensity simmered, leaving Sarah at a crossroads. Then the community suffered a crisis. A beloved project was on the verge of collapse. As everyone gathered to discuss a solution, it became painfully clear. Sarah could either risk everything to save the project and reclaim her roots, or let her hunger for success drive her further into isolation. Jake watched as she struggled with the decision, her brow furrowed with conflict. A single moment could reshape their family legacy. Would Sarah choose her abandoned heritage or plunge headlong into the relentless pursuit of ambition? As hope flickered in Jake's heart, he felt the weight of generations resting on Sarah's shoulders. Could they salvage their bond before it slipped away forever? The answer hung like a breathless gasp, leaving both father and daughter teetering on the edge of fate, hearts intertwined in a fragile dance of redemption and despair. As the night deepened, a hush fell over the crowd gathered under the old oak tree. Lanterns swayed gently above them, flickering like the hope in Jake's chest. He could feel tension fill the air, thick and heavy, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for Sarah to make her choice. Jake glanced at Sarah, her posture rigid and defiant one moment, crumbling the next. She dug her nails into her palms, a visible struggle for clarity etched across her face. The project they were discussing, a community center that had been a sanctuary for kids, was in dire trouble. It had become a symbol of their shared past, memories built on laughter and dreams. To let it fall apart would be to sever a last connection to their roots. Sarah Jake's voice was steady yet gentle, slicing through the tension like a hot knife through butter. You don't have to do this alone. Remember how we built that place together? We can do it again. Her gaze flitted to him, uncertainty flashing in her eyes like lightning. I can't go back, Dad. I just can't be stuck here anymore. With that admission, Jake's heart surged and fell in tandem. He understood. Oh, how he understood the yearning for more, the pressure of expectations. His own life had been riddled with sacrifices. And yet here he was, with each day pulling further away from her. No one is asking you to give up your dreams. Just consider what you could achieve by saving something that matters to the both of us. Around them, murmurs rose as community members weighed in. She should take the job, someone said, breaking the quiet. This is her future, another voice retorted. But what about the kids? They need her. They need this place. The familiar faces of neighbors flashed memories in Jake's mind. They had shared countless barbecues, seasons of laughter, and moments of stress. A pang shot through him. Their lives were intertwined. Her decision would not only affect him, but everyone who cherished that community center. His heart raced as he spoke once more. Sarah, your worth isn't just tied to ambition. It's in the heart you put into others. The connections, the love that's what lasts. Please don't chase success at the expense of who you are. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes again as she wrestled with his words. Why is it so hard for you to understand? I thought I was doing this for us. I thought it would make things better for you. Sarah, I'm not asking you to fail at your dreams. I'm asking you to remember where you came from. To fight for something beautiful instead of just chasing the next big thing. Maybe this is what will save you too. That struck a chord deep within her. The void in her heart, a place filled with ambition but desperately craving connectivity, seemed to shift slightly. The weight of expectation began to lift as she scanned the faces around her. The community had rallied, clinging to each other, and she felt the warm pulse of home weaving through the ache of ambition. For a fleeting moment, Jake saw her walls start to crack, but just then, someone shouted out, urging her to make a choice. The air electrified again, pushing them further apart even as they stood so close. Don't you see? Jake called out, feeling the moment swirl around them. This is your chance to redefine what success looks like. But as Sarah's expression flickered between resolve and doubt, Jake realized something profound. It wasn't just about the project anymore. It was about them. As emotional silhouettes danced under the lanterns, would Sarah take a leap back into their shared legacy? Or would she plunge into a future that felt safer but lonely? The weight of expectation bore down again, leaving them both in a moment suspended in time. Heartbeats synced in anxious anticipation. What would Sarah choose when faced with the heart of her history? The answer lay just beyond reach. The lanterns swayed gently, their flickering light casting long shadows on the ground beneath the old oak. The crowd's murmurs died down, leaving an almost palpable silence, broken only by the distant rustle of leaves. Sarah stood there, torn between two worlds, the path leading back to her roots or the one racing ahead toward ambition. Sarah, one voice called out, a neighbor whose kids had grown at the community center. Think about the children. They need you now more than ever. Jake held his breath as he watched her grapple with the choice. He understood the pain of looking back at the dreams you built with others while wanting to stretch toward something new. He had lived that struggle. But tonight, he couldn't let her navigate this alone. Whatever you decide, I'm here, he said softly, the words almost getting lost in the wind. For a moment, her expression softened, and Jake's heart surged with hope. But then a shadow crossed her face. What about me, Dad? What about my dreams? There was frustration and sadness in her voice, a mix that twisted him inside. He felt the crowd closing in, their expectations wrapped around them like a tightening noose. It's not selfish to want more for yourself, he urged, his voice rising slightly. But remember that what you build doesn't have to be just for you. A silence fell again, heavier this time, as the tension extended like the branches overhead, reaching for the sky yet grounded in the earth below. Sarah's gaze shifted to her friends, faces brimming with support, then back to Jake, whose eyes shone with love and concern. It was in those fleeting moments, the connection they shared, that he realized the true value of all they had built together. After what felt like an eternity, she took a breath. Maybe I could, but another lingering voice broke in, sharp and insistent. You'd be giving up everything for some old memories, Sarah? This is your shot. It sliced through the fragile moment, igniting her indecision. Jake felt his chest tighten. No one is asking you to give up those dreams. But what if you could combine them? You could lead this community center and still chase your goals. Her brow furrowed, and as she closed her eyes, the crowd seemed to hold its breath. In that instant of uncertainty, Jake watched the weight of choice bear down on her. It was like watching a storm gather on the horizon. Dad, I don't know if I can. It feels like I'm drowning. Sarah's voice cracked, the tears spilling over now in earnest. They fell like tiny jewels, glistening in the dim light, each representing the fight between nostalgia and future. With each word hung in the air, it became clear to Jake that his daughter wasn't just battling expectations. She was wrestling with fear, with identity. She had become a list of responsibilities: the kids, the community, the dreams. But what about being Sarah? What if I fail? She whispered, the vulnerability naked and raw. Then we'll pick up the pieces together. It's okay to fail, sweetheart. It's part of being human, Jake reassured her. His tone was firm yet warm, a lifeline tethered to her ever-shifting resolve. But the crowd remained restless, the pressure mounting. Faces morphed into a blur of anxious anticipation. As Sarah opened her eyes, a flicker of determination ignited within, battling the remnants of doubt still hanging in the air. What do I even want? She murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Jake could sense the revelation brewing beneath the surface. Yet in that moment of clarity, the crowd surged forward. Voices pressed her with reasons, with fears, and he knew the true battle was just beginning. Would she find the courage to step into the unknown, or would she let the fears drag her down? As lanterns flickered wildly above, illuminating the swirling emotions below them, Jake held his breath. What transformation awaited? Would Sarah break free of the chains of expectation, or would she step into a future that felt like a lonely longing? Time hung in the balance, waiting for her decision. But in Jake's heart, a question lingered. What if the answer to Sarah's dilemma lay deeper than she anticipated, hidden within the echoes of her past? The air felt electric, charged with tension as Sarah's uncertainty clutched everyone around her like a vice. Jake scanned the faces in the crowd, their whispers tumbling over one another, each voice tugging at Sarah from a different direction. It was a heart-wrenching sight, all these hopeful faces. But he knew Sarah needed to feel free to choose her own path. A moment of silence punctuated the chaos, as if everything paused to allow her thoughts to crystallize. I just don't know what to do. Sarah's voice trembled, tears still tracing paths down her cheeks, glistening in the warm glow of the lanterns. Let us break it down, Jake suggested gently, stepping forward so that she only had to focus on him. What is most important to you right now? His question echoed in the stillness, a lifeline thrown amidst the storm. She took a shaky breath, her gaze drifting skyward, sunlight long gone but the stars barely peeking through the haze. I want to help. I want to make a difference, she said, her voice gaining strength with every word. But I also want to chase my dreams, to explore who I am. Jacob knew this was at the moment when everything pivoted. The truth was spilling from her, a mix of longing and fear. And for a moment, he too felt the gravity of those desires. What if you could do both? He asked, leaning in slightly. What if you took the community center and made it your own project? Create something fresh? Sarah's eyes widened, the prospect waking something within her. The energy in the space shifted. Others began to feel it too. Hope crackled like a tightly wound spring, waiting to uncoil. Maybe I could start new programs, ones to empower the kids while still pursuing my art. She mused, voice more certain now. Exactly, Jake exclaimed, fueled by her new spark. You can help them grow while you grow. It doesn't have to be a trade-off. You can build your future right into whatever this is. Her friends began to nod, murmurs of encouragement rippling through the crowd. The atmosphere brightened. People were actually leaning in. What about fundraising? Someone shouted from the back. We can host events. Or a gallery night right here. Another chimed in, excitement buzzing from all corners. Jake felt the air shift again, a collective energy igniting in Sarah. She wasn't just reclaiming her dreams. She was inviting her community along for the ride. The lanterns glowed brighter, illuminating not just the scene but the potential of what they could build together. But what if it's still not enough? Sarah's voice wavered again, the flicker of doubt creeping back. What if they don't see it? What if I can't raise the funds? Jake stepped closer, feeling the pulse of her uncertainty. What if those kids see you trying? What if they see you realize that your dreams are attainable? They need someone fighting for them, and that someone could be you. His words wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. The warmth spread through her, the fear ebbing away bit by bit. In that moment, she saw not just her future, but the children's futures intertwined with hers. She took a deep breath, feeling the crowd's anticipation press against her like hands urging her forward. Okay, she said, newfound determination anchoring her words. If we're going to do this, let us make it count. Cheers exploded, buoyed by the adrenaline of change. And yet, in the back of Jake's mind, a voice whispered a warning. Was she truly ready to balance both worlds? And what deep-rooted skepticism might still lurk, waiting to resurface at the most vulnerable moment? As laughter began to fill the air, Jake watched his daughter. Would Sarah be able to hold strong against the storms of doubt that still lingered, or would those doubts rise again when challenges intensified? The future felt uncertain, but a flicker of hope burned brighter than it had in a long time, promising something remarkable ahead. In that charged atmosphere, one question echoed through the revelry. What hidden truths still lay buried, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? The night air felt alive, buzzing with the thrill of possibility. Sarah's heart raced, a mix of excitement and trepidation swirling together like the colors of a sunset. She stood at the center of a small whirlwind, surrounded by eager faces, each one shining with hope. Together, they could build something extraordinary, yet a thread of anxiety weaved through her intentions. Let us set a date for that gallery night, shouted Emily, bouncing on her toes in enthusiasm. Sarah smiled at her friend, the lightness of Emily's spirit lifting some of her own weight. Suddenly, her brain hit pause. But what if I mess it up? What if the kids don't connect? What if? Sarah's voice trailed off, lost in a tide of worries. Were they really ready to take this on? Jake stepped beside her, the warmth of his presence reassuring. What if this is what they need? He countered softly. Art can be more than just a pastime. It can change lives. He spoke with passion, the kind of passion that lit a fire in Sarah. Drawing a deep breath, Sarah glanced at the faces around her and spoke. Okay, how about we brainstorm ideas for programs during the gallery night? We can teach the kids about different art forms and invite them to participate. The crowd erupted in support. Cheers broke out, voices mingling together in a chorus of shared dreams. Seeing their excitement ignited something further inside her. This was no longer just her dream, it was theirs. But in the shadows of her mind, doubt lingered almost malevolently, whispering insidious thoughts. Could she really balance her art with this new responsibility? Would her own aspirations falter in the wake of trying to save the center? To chase two dreams felt like juggling fire, each ball a risk of scorching her. Let us divide tasks, Jake suggested, as if reading the turmoil on her face. We need teams. We need structure. He gestured to their community. Who wants to help with fundraising? And who has got ideas for the gallery setup? Hands shot up, voices chimed in unison, and the room blossomed with energy. Every face was a palette shifting with possibilities. Meanwhile, Sarah remained on that precipice, her heart tugging her in two directions. But then, amidst their gathering ideas, someone piped up, "What happens if it rains on the night of the gallery? Can we move it inside?" Laughter rolled through the crowd, a light-hearted reminder of the very real challenges ahead. That's the spirit, Sarah exclaimed, laughter bubbling from her own lips. We'll adapt. We're resilient. The meeting wrapped up in rays of laughter and camaraderie. Yet as they gathered their things, Sarah couldn't shake the weight pressing down on her heart. She turned to Jake before they left. What if I still can't manage it all? What if I lose myself? He looked at her intently, understanding shining in his eyes. You won't lose yourself if you stay true to what's in your heart. Remember, it's not just about the center, it's about you, too. You're not giving up your art to do this. You're weaving it into the fabric of the community. His words rang clear, reverberating inside her. But yet, a deeper question lurked, a feeling she couldn't quite articulate. As the last of them filtered out into the cool night air, Sarah stood for a moment, enveloped by darkness and scattered stars. What if this was just the beginning of a revelation waiting to unfold, one that she wasn't quite ready for? And deep down, an unsettling thought invaded her mind. What if the path she chose next didn't lead to the dream she craved, but exposed more hidden truths instead? The night felt heavy with unresolved possibilities, and Sarah lingered a little longer, her smile dimming just as the lanterns flickered in the breeze. What would she unearth along this journey? The following weeks flew by in a blur of excitement and apprehension. Sarah poured every ounce of energy she had into planning the gallery night, fueled by the enthusiasm of her friends and the community. She envisioned vibrant paintings lining the walls, laughter radiating among the kids, and the sweet harmony of voices blending together in celebration. Yet, amid the thrills, the topic that haunted her thoughts remained her art. Each stroke of brush against canvas felt heavier. Was she losing herself? Each day brought a new wave of emotions swirling together: pride, fear, hope, and doubt. She often found herself staring at her abandoned easel, longing to lose herself in color once more. But focused on the gallery, her creative spark flickered, dimmed by uncertainty. "Can you believe it? We're just weeks away," Emily exclaimed, excitement rolling off her in waves as they folded flyers together at the community center. "Yeah, it's wild," Sarah replied absently, her mind drifting toward the sketches she'd left untouched. Emily glanced at her, brow furrowed. "You okay? You seem distant. Talk to me." The words caught in Sarah's throat, momentarily caught by self-doubt. "I guess I feel like I'm letting it all take over. Like, what if I focus too much on the center and forget my own art? Where does that leave me?" Emily bit her lip, contemplating. "You're not losing yourself. Remember what Jake said about weaving your art into everything? This isn't just about the center. It's about creating a space for kids to explore their own creativity too." She offered a reassuring smile, but it did little to lighten the burden Sarah carried. What if all this was just a distraction from her true calling? And what would happen to her if she never rediscovered it? As the days flew by, Sarah announced to the group that she would host an informal art workshop for the kids leading up to the gallery event. She wanted them to infuse their personalities into what they created. She saw this as a chance to inspire them, just as Emily did for her. The enthusiasm in the room was electric. Kids buzzed with excitement, eager to get their hands dirty and create. As laughter filled the space, Sarah felt a flicker of warmth in her chest. But with every brush stroke from her young artists, a twinge of fear nudged at her. They were so free, their imaginations danced wildly. Would she ever regain that fluidity? Could she turn back the clock and rediscover the spark she once had? One afternoon, after the kids left, Sarah lingered in the center, the daylight fading as she sat in front of her easel. A single canvas lay untouched, taunting her with its blankness. The shadows deepened around her, sealing her fears into the quiet. Suddenly, she heard a soft knock at the door. Startled, she looked up to see Jake entering, his face etched with concern. "You all right? I felt it in the air," he said, settling beside her. "I don't know, Jake. I'm giving so much, yet I feel so lost," she confessed, the weight of her worries spilling out. "I want to help the kids, but I'm scared I'll lose my own voice in the process." He nodded, absorbing her vulnerability. "Maybe it's not about losing it, but rather discovering it again through them. You're not just the artist, you're their guide." His words were a balm to her tormented heart. For the first time in days, she felt a flicker of possibility. Maybe this journey wasn't about sacrificing herself, but about evolving into something even bigger. But as hope began to seep in, another thought brushed against her mind, dark and edgier than the last. What if this journey revealed more about her own identity than she had ever planned to face? As Sarah gazed into the canvas, a sense of dread mixed with anticipation enveloped her. Was the gallery night just a step toward liberation or a confrontation with truths she had long avoided? The dusk darkened outside, casting long shadows in the room. With a trembling hand, Sarah picked up her brush, feeling the weight of fear and hope collide. What would she discover once the canvas was filled? The night before the workshop, Sarah tossed and turned in her bed, her mind racing with both excitement and dread. Anxiety gnawed at her stomach like a wild animal, making sleep elusive. She stared at the ceiling, imagining the kids' faces lighting up as they got creative. But what if they looked to her for guidance, and she froze under the pressure? The thought sent a chill through her. The sun peeked through her curtains, casting a soft glow across her room. She pulled on a simple t-shirt and jeans, wiping the remnants of a restless night from her eyes. Today was the day she'd help the kids paint their dreams into reality. But with every step to the community center, uncertainty stormed around her. The center buzzed with life. Art supplies filled tables as the children arrived, wielding vibrant brushes and colorful paints like warriors preparing for battle. Their voices mingled in a chorus of excitement that cut through the fog of her anxiety. As she sat up, smiles greeted her, innocent and full of hope. Somehow, the children's energy began to seep into her. "Hey, Sarah," a little girl named Mia shouted, her hands splattered with blue paint. "Can you help me draw a unicorn?" "Of course. Let us bring your unicorn to life," Sarah replied, her heart swelling at the sight of pure joy. As they worked side by side, Mia's enthusiasm was contagious. Sarah's spirit began to lift, despite the flicker of self-doubt still lurking in the background. "Do you think we could make it fly?" Mia asked, her eyes wide with excitement. "Absolutely. What if it has rainbow wings?" Sarah suggested, feeling a surge of inspiration. As they painted, Mia's laughter rang out like music, awakening a memory deep within Sarah, a time when art was pure joy, not weighed down by expectations. As the hours flew by, kids created everything from fantastical creatures to landscapes filled with vibrant colors. Sarah encouraged them, guiding them to dig deep into their imaginations. They painted without inhibition, and a surge of memories washed over her. It was like rediscovering a long-lost friend. Watching the kids unleash their creativity felt like a part of her was coming alive again. But when it came time to critique the work, fear rooted itself in her. What if the kids asked her to share her art? What if she floundered? "Okay, everyone, let us gather around to share what we've made," Sarah announced, her voice trembling slightly. The kids huddled close, eyes sparkling with pride. "I made a forest where trees talk and play hopscotch." A boy named David shared, his cheeks flushed with joy. The room erupted with laughter. Each kid showcased their creation, their imaginations soaring alongside one another. When it was Mia's turn, she stood tall, holding her canvas with shaky hands. "This is my unicorn. It flies," but Sarah caught her breath when she heard the words that spilled from Mia's mouth. "It helps people believe in magic in themselves." Sarah felt a rush of warmth engulf her. Those words pierced through her layers of doubt. It reminded her that maybe, just maybe, art was meant to connect and inspire, and not just for herself. As applause filled the room, the realization hit her like a splash of cold water. Perhaps this journey was more than just about her art, it was about getting back in touch with what made her love art in the first place. But the fear lingered still, whispering questions into her ear. Would she find her own voice again? As the workshop wound down and the kids dispersed, Sarah looked at her easel. The canvas had been replaced by stirring feelings and fresh perspectives. Could she harness this energy to create something new? With the palette still vibrant with colors, she felt the urge to paint bubbling underneath the surface. Taking a deep breath, she reached for her brush one more time. Maybe tomorrow would become the moment when she unearthed her true colors. But would that moment be enough to confront what she feared the most? The next morning arrived with a golden glow spilling through Sarah's kitchen window as she prepared her breakfast. Eggs sizzled in the pan, and the aroma filled the air, yet her mind was miles away, lost in a whirl of colors and inspiration. The day before had felt transformative, yet the lingering shadows of doubt still held onto the edges of her heart. As she forked up the last bite of her breakfast, Sarah couldn't shake her thoughts. How could she make the next day's workshop even better? Diving deeper than just the art, she needed to encourage the kids to express their feelings, their truths like Mia had done. Maybe it was time for her to do the same. With that idea in mind, she grabbed her sketchbook. There, in the quiet of her living room, she began to sketch. Each line felt like a release, as if the ink was freeing her. She poured her own feelings into the pages, expressing the turmoil and joy she felt since she began the journey of rekindling her passion for art. But the moment was bittersweet. As much as she poured out hope, fear still sat there, a persistent companion. The sun wobbled overhead as she prepared for another day with the kids. As she approached the community center, butterflies fluttered in her stomach, matching the rhythm of her heartbeat. She took a deep breath and pushed through the doors, ready to face her fears. "Sarah! Sarah!" echoed voices as the kids rushed in. Their smiles greeted her like a warm embrace. Mia was the first to reach out, her blue paint-stained fingers tugging at Sarah's sleeve. "Can we paint a big mural today? Like a giant story together?" Mia's eyes sparkled with innocence and creativity. "That sounds amazing," Sarah exclaimed, her chest swelling with excitement. "What stories do you all want to tell?" Suddenly, a wave of animations buzzed through the room as kids shouted ideas. Each concept flowed like a river, spawning more colors and whimsy. They decided on a mural that depicted a vibrant world filled with their dreams, flying unicorns, talking animals, and trees with giant candy blossoms. Sarah watched, impressed as ideas bounced from child to child, creating a tapestry of togetherness. A warmth washed over her. They were not just painting, they were building a community, a world where creativity knew no bounds. Yet, her heart nudged her back to the reality of her own insecurities. Before she could lose her nerve, she spoke up. "How about I share something with you all?" The room quieted, curiosity hanging in the air like a ripe fruit. "I want us to connect with our art," she continued, feeling strong. "Let us each share a dream or a feeling we have before we paint. It might help us inspire our art even more." Tender faces lifted in response, a mix of surprise and eagerness. Then, one by one, they began sharing. David spoke of feeling scared about starting middle school. Mia shared her struggle with feeling small, but wished to be brave. Sarah's heart swelled. She listened, realizing that vulnerability was a two-way street. This was what art was truly about: a connection, an identity, a shared experience. As the mural began to take shape, colors blended, hands painted side by side, laughter erupted, and the once restless seed of doubt inside Sarah started to soften. She found her voice amid the chaos, blending her passion into the collective vision of the children. But just as she began to feel at peace, the question crept back in: was she ready to embrace her truth? To find her own canvas and paint her own story? And then, in a quiet moment, surrounded by her vibrant young artists, she realized this journey of self-discovery wasn't just about technique or skill. It was about finding her place among them, learning to embrace her own vulnerability. As they stepped back to admire their mural, a flutter of excitement mingled with apprehension settled deep in her chest. What would she discover about herself as she continued on this path? The thought loomed like a brush poised over a blank canvas, waiting for her to make the first stroke. What story would she tell next? The afternoon light warmed the community center, spilling a soft glow onto the vibrant mural. Each stroke of paint sang with the children's dreams, memories, and secrets. Sarah stepped back, her heart pumping with a blend of pride and trepidation. Around her, the kids laughed, their voices intertwining like playful ribbons in the air. Mia was bouncing from one section of the mural to another, eager to add more color, her eyes alight with creativity. But as Sarah watched, she couldn't help but feel a twist in her stomach, a hungry shadow gnawing at her confidence. "Hey, Sarah," David called out, his hands smeared with a rainbow of pigments. "Look at this. It's the dragon I imagined from my favorite book." He pointed excitedly, and Sarah moved closer to admire the work. The dragon was a majestic swirl of gold and deep crimson, roaring fiercely across the canvas. "It's fantastic, David," she replied, her voice bright, trying to drown out her inner doubts. As David beamed at her praise, she bit her lip. Who was she to stand among such talent? They were pouring their hearts onto the wall, while she struggled with her own emotions. As the kids continued to paint, Sarah took a step back, feeling the weight of her own dreams simmer under the surface, the pressure of her hidden fears bubbling away. What was her story? What colors claimed her heart? "Sarah?" Mia approached, still colored with blue streaks. "Can we add something else? Something about our families? I think they should be part of our mural too." The request hung in the air, drawing Sarah out of her swirling thoughts. "Of course. Families are such an important part of who we are," she replied, her voice soaring with the promise of inspiration. The kids gathered around, and one by one began sharing feelings about their families. David spoke about how his little sister always made him laugh, even on tough days. Mia shared how her mom was her biggest cheerleader. Each story added layers to the mural that reflected more than just dreams. It reflected love, struggles, and the genuine connections they held dear. As the stories flowed, Sarah felt the canvas within her yearning to be filled too. Could she share her own truths? The thought sent a sharp pang of vulnerability flooding through her. What if they saw her fears? What if they didn't understand? But she felt a gentle push from the kids. They had shared their hearts, and maybe, just maybe, it was time for her to do the same. "Can I share something with you all too?" she said, her voice suddenly steady. The room quieted, a reverent atmosphere blooming between them like the colors on the wall. "I've been scared to put my own dreams out there, to show you my art," she confessed, her voice quivering slightly. "But seeing all of you sharing your stories makes me realize how important it is. Our art reflects who we are, right?" The children nodded, their expressions filled with encouragement. "I've always wanted to paint too, just like this," she continued, feeling the warmth seep into her voice. "To show my fear, my hopes, maybe even the things I'm unsure about." Mia stepped forward. "Then let us paint together. We can help." A sensation of warmth surged through Sarah. That moment, blank canvases and full hearts would change everything. Together, they'd explore the depths of emotion, color by color. Drawing in a deep breath, Sarah found solace in the idea of sharing. Could this be her first stroke towards transformation? With the kids gathered around her, she picked up a brush. As she dipped it into rich, powerful hues, excitement flooded her veins. The mural was becoming a beautiful tapestry, and she was finally ready to be a part of it. But as she began to paint, a sudden loud crash from outside the community center broke the moment. The collective breath of her young artists pulled taut, the color momentarily draining from their faces. "What was that?" Mia whispered, eyes wide with concern. An unexpected turn was about to unfold, and Sarah felt her heart race. What could it mean for their mural, their stories, and her own pursuit of truth? The canvas of their day had become a canvas of uncertainty. The room fell silent as they all turned towards the source of the sound, their hearts racing. The joyful atmosphere shifted instantly, turning from vibrant creativity to thick apprehension. The mural, which had become a celebration of hope and connection, now hung in the balance against the backdrop of uncertainty. "Let us go check." Jake's voice broke through the tension, and without waiting for another moment, he led the way outside. Sarah followed, her adrenaline surging, urging her feet forward, and the kids stuck close behind, their excitement fading into a bubble of worry. As they stepped out of the community center, the sky above them loomed dark with brooding clouds. In the distance, a group of children cried and pointed. A nearby building, an old shop that had been vacant for years, had partially collapsed. Dust swirled in the air, and with it came a familiar pang of nostalgia, memories of laughter, of community gatherings, of stories that tied their neighborhood together. "Is everyone okay?" Jake called out, scanning the area for anyone injured. The kids gathered near him, wide-eyed, grasping onto one another as they stood frozen in place. Sarah felt a twist in her stomach. This was bigger than what they were painting. This was a tangible threat to the very roots they were trying to nurture. As the adults around organized an assessment of the damage, she felt a spark ignite inside her, fueled by the emotions she had been struggling to express. "Guys," she said, her voice gaining strength, "what if we could turn this into something positive? We're all about to come together as a community and help. Maybe we can even paint a mural on the side of that building to show its restoration." The kids' faces lit up, the power of whispers turning into uninhibited cheers. Excitement buzzed like a swarm of bees. "Yeah, we can make it a symbol of hope and resilience," Mia exclaimed, energy flooding back into the atmosphere as they rallied together around Sarah's idea. Summer rain began to fall lightly, washing away the dust from the old shop. It wasn't just rain. It felt like renewal, like a cleansing promise for what they could achieve together. "Let us organize a cleanup. Then we can brainstorm how to turn this place into something magical," Sarah smiled, decision crystallizing as she locked eyes with Jake, whose nod offered reassurance. The group sprang into action, driven by a shared vision. Adults joined the children, gathering supplies and creating a plan. As they worked side by side, clearing debris and sharing laughter, it dawned on Sarah that this community wasn't just a backdrop to her life. It was a living canvas composed of relationships and shared history. In those moments filled with teamwork, Sarah felt the familiar pull of artistry. She retrieved a brush from her bag and began sketching on a blank canvas she had brought with her. Abandoned hopes and fears combined with newfound strength and dreams flowed from her fingertips, transforming into vivid strokes. After hours of collaborative effort, laughter erupted once more as they found themselves returning to the beauty of their original mural. They decided to incorporate elements of the disaster of Phoenix rising from the debris right in the middle of the mural, flanked by vibrant trees, friendly animals, and the dreams they had painted before. "I'm so proud of you all," Sarah exclaimed, seeing the unity they had built and their remarkable transformation from worry to creation. Her heart swelled with love as the kids hugged her and the adults chimed in with admiration. Later that evening, as they unveiled the completed mural to a chorus of applause, an overwhelming rush of emotion coursed through her. It wasn't just a children's mural. It was a legacy built from love, laughter, sorrow, and shared dreams. Jake stood beside her, his eyes glittering with unshed tears. "You did this, Sarah. You brought everyone together. You've reminded us of the true meaning of community." "Thank you, Dad," she replied, feeling a wave of warmth wrap around them. She realized that through their trials, they had restored more than just a building. They had revitalized their connections and their own hearts. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of pink and purple, a feeling of finality settled within Sarah. She had found her voice, her passion, and a path forward, one that embraced both her artistry and her community. With hands intertwined with the children and her father, Sarah gazed at the mural, a promise to never let their dreams fall to the wayside again. She felt empowered, ready to face any storm that might come their way. No longer was she torn between her aspirations and the community. They were one and the same. From that moment on, the journey ahead would allow her to grow even further, creating art that mattered, that shined in connection with those around her. What once felt like uncertainty transformed into a tapestry of courageous choices waiting to be painted. And standing proud as the candle of hope flickered in the evening chill, she vowed never to shy away from any challenge again. The canvas of her life was far from finished, a beautiful masterpiece just waiting for the brightest strokes yet to come. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss new exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to help drive the algorithm. You make a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. And for the love of transformation, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this uplifting journey. Don't wait not even one more second. Come be a part of our amazing community.